What a wild year or so that it's been for Bronny James. I mean, seriously, this guy's emotions had to be all over the place. This man was a top 20 recruit and a McDonald's All-American who would have his entire basketball career and life's work threatened due to a condition that was well out of his control. Fast forward to a year later, and after a forgettable season at USC, this man would be medically cleared to play professional basketball, while also taking huge steps towards doing just that, playing professional basketball. So we were just talking about how much things changed for Bronny over the course of a year or so, right? But let's talk about how much has changed for him over the past week or so due to him taking part in the invite-only NBA Draft Combine. The NBA Draft Combine is an event that is meant to give coaches, general managers, and scouts a more in-depth look at what they're going to potentially be drafting. Here, players are measured, go through various athletic tests, take part in shooting drills, and compete in scrimmages. Bronny James is far from your perfect prospect, but what has unfolded thanks to the Combine might just surprise you. But first, if you guys are like me, then your favorite NBA team is not currently in the NBA playoffs. With my favorite team being out of the NBA playoffs, Underdog Fantasy has given me a fun way to get in on the action while also being able to win some money in the process. As you guys could see, Underdog Fantasy is the best and easiest way to play daily fantasy. To get started with Underdog Fantasy, click the link in the description below or head on over to the App Store and download the app. When you sign up, make sure that you use code COOP so that you could earn up to $250 in bonus cash on your first deposit. Using code COOP is also a great way to support my content. Now, if you want to see my picks before anybody else, just follow my IG, it's on the screen, and thank you Underdog for the sponsor. When Bronny James was asked if he'd name his son LeBron James III, his response would jokingly be absolutely not. It might seem weird to some people that Bronny wouldn't want to continue the long passed down tradition of naming his kid LeBron, but it's not a weird thing to me at all, because I completely understand it. Everything that Bronny does is going to be overshadowed by the fact that he is LeBron James Jr., and while this may seem like nothing to some people, it's everything for somebody who has that drive to make a name for themselves. Even LeBron James himself has expressed some regret about giving his kid the exact same name as him, saying in 2018 that, "I still regret giving my 14-year-old my name." Bron would continue saying, "When I was younger, I didn't have a dad, so my whole thing was when I was a kid, not only is he going to be a junior, I'm going to do everything that this man didn't do. They're going to experience things that I didn't experience." Bron's reasoning for giving his kid his name would be incredibly wholesome. But when you are named after LeBron James, you aren't just named after LeBron James and that's it. With being named after LeBron James comes enormous expectations. LeBron James is a special athlete. He's hands down one of the greatest players to ever touch a basketball. When you're named after him, as I've said before, that same expectation of greatness just sort of comes with the territory. To quote Bronny, "Bronny was just a nickname that I was given when I was younger. Everything that follows my dad, people just try to link that to me and all the greatness that he's achieved. I haven't done anything yet, so I feel like there needs to be that divide between Bronny and LeBron." End quote. Bronny said that there needs to be a divide between Bronny and LeBron. That's pretty deep. Bronny feeling this way is why, although he has a chance to do something that has never been done before in being the first father-son duo to share the court, he's quote-unquote just focused on getting to the league, which after Bronny's solid combine, him being drafted is now looking closer and closer to being a real possibility, with some teams that might surprise you showing interest in him. At the combine, Bronny measured 6'1" with a 6'7" and 1/4 wingspan. He recorded a 40.5-inch vertical, and he shot 19 of 25 in the three-point shooting drill, which was good enough for second out of everybody. And when he participated in scrimmages, he would look to have similar games to the player comparisons that he put out there for himself. When asked what NBA players his game resembles the most, he'd say Boston's Drew Holiday and Derek White, and also the Sacramento Kings' Davion Mitchell. Guards who have the ability to be threats on offense, but have been most known for their excellent team play, ball IQ, and defense. Bronny's first day of scrimmaging, he'd look shaky and lost on the floor, only scoring 4 points and grabbing 4 rebounds. But the next day that he'd scrimmage, he'd look much more comfortable. The efficiency wouldn't be perfect as he'd go 4 of 10 from the field, but he would score 13 points, which would be a team high. He scored this 13, not forcing anything and letting the game come to him. During the second scrimmage, I'd see some shades of a smaller Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and you guys know how much I love Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Seeing shades of him is undoubtedly a good thing. Nickeil is a winning two-way player who has become an integral part of what the Timberwolves do. I wish that he was still on the Pelicans, but that's a topic for another video. So Bronny's combine would catapult him up the ESPN rankings, rising all the way from number 98 to number 54. That is a massive jump and something that's great for his future outlook. Now, while Bronny looked solid at the combine, his combine didn't win over everybody.
Mark, you were just in Chicago for the combine. Yeah. What are the scouts saying about Bronny?
Well, they wanted to reserve judgment until they saw him. They did see he was listed as 6'1", and they did see he had a 40.5 vert. But I was like, what would you do right now before he goes and plays? What would you do? And they said, we wouldn't draft him. Both of them said they would not draft him. I said, okay, let me give him a couple days. Let's see what happens after they watch him play. Now, this is their take after watching him play. Scout 1, I still don't think he's ready, but he did some good things. He's on the smaller side, so he's going to have to be elite on defense. You can see he has good vision, makes right passes, takes good shots. He's probably going to need more time. If the Lakers don't draft him, I don't see anyone drafting him. Teams would want him on a two-way, and I don't think Clutch would want that. It gets a little tougher. The other scout I talked to, positional athlete, doesn't function as an elite athlete, tweener stuck between two positions. Should be a point guard based on his size, but he can't run an offense. He's handicapped as an undersized shooting guard because he can't shoot, 0-4 on threes on one day, 1 for 3 the other day. Needs screens to create space, and his only scoring came on paint touch floaters and can only go left. His strength is supposed to be defensively, but he's a switch matchup. Every bigger player who switched on him scored. He's a poor man's Davion Mitchell. He is not an NBA prospect, in my opinion. Not my words, words of 2 veteran NBA scouts.
This would be a brutal but honest assessment of where some scouts think that Bronny is currently. Now, while these scouts were out on Bronny, some are more than willing to give him a shot because, you guessed it, this man is LeBron James' son. Bronny has gone on record expressing that he doesn't want to be drafted just because his dad is LeBron James, saying that this is a serious business. I don't think that there would be a thought of, I'm just going to draft this kid just because I'm going to get his dad. Bronny is saying this, and teams are like, nope, don't care, want your dad. This is in fact the case and in play. When Bronny said this, the first thing that popped into my head was, do you know who your dad is and what he has been saying for a while leading up to the draft? I know that he's walked some of what he said back, but for a while, this man was basically campaigning to play with you, saying that he'd do anything to make something like that happen. Don't get me wrong, Bronny has been doing a great job in trying to create his own lane. But a team would 100% draft you just because they think that they would get an opportunity at your dad. And there are reports to back this. Reportedly, teams are still considering drafting Bronny in the draft in hopes that they could lure LeBron in free agency. Stephen A. Smith specifically says that he sees the Mavs doing this, saying that, here's a newsflash, what I've also heard, Bronny James may not make it to the Lakers' second-round pick, because if a team like the Dallas Mavericks could position themselves to get him in the second round, they'll take him. While I don't want Bronny to get drafted just because of who his dad is, as that's just not fair in many different ways, I actually think that Dallas would be an incredible landing spot for Bronny. Dallas played a part in the rapid ascension of Jalen Brunson. Bronny probably wouldn't be able to find a better mentor than Kyrie Irving, who already has a relationship with him, and say that Bronny somehow does pan out. He's literally the perfect archetype of player to slot next to Luka. Call me crazy, but if Luka and the Mavericks are able to get a late career resurgence out of Dante Exum, then I think that there's hope for Bronny to develop into something decent there also if he's given time. Just imagine Kyrie working with Bronny to refine his skills and adding to the intangibles that he already has. I'm not going to lie, Bronny with the Kyrie bag would be crazy. Okay, jokes aside, I really do like this spot for him. It's also worth noting that Nico Harrison, the current Mavs GM, is a former longtime Nike executive. What a time to be alive for Mavericks fans. Jason Kidd really has me walking back some prior comments that I made about him. Mavs fans, stay locked in, a video will be coming soon. Personally, in the late second round, I think that you could do a lot worse than Bronny if he were to stay in the draft. I follow the draft very closely every year and see teams draft players in the late second round with limited potential who never see meaningful minutes in the NBA. I see things like this happening all of the time. Again, I would take a chance on Bronny, but that's just me. And in this situation, I'm talking about Bronny as a singular entity here, purely speaking of him as a basketball player and what he provides on the floor, not everything that comes with him. Which, speaking of everything that comes with them, my man Woj said that there's a possibility that he goes late first round just because he has the ability to pack G League arenas and has great merchandising. Now, personally, I don't see him going in the late first round, but I guess that time will tell. Regardless of everything, we've definitely started to see an uptick in interest for Bronny, which is huge for Bronny. While there was water poured on this report, I even saw that the Jazz might be interested in him. Guys, in the comments below, let me know if you would want your team taking a shot on Bronny James in the NBA draft, and if so, where would you try to draft him? As a Pelicans fan, Bronny James surely beats cash considerations. I can't watch cash considerations at the NBA Summer League. Yeah, as you guys know, I've been through a lot as a Pels fan, so let me stop. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video and are enjoying the new format. Clicking the video on the screen right now is a great way to support my channel. Be sure to subscribe. I'm Get Like Coop, bringing you guys the scoop until our next upload.